Alright, sorry about that. This video's program only lets me do 15 minutes of video at a time, so here is part 2. Alright, from the 4, I have to do 2 times 2, and both 2's are prime numbers. Okay, so once all of my final bottoms of my trees are circled, I know I'm finished, and I can start to simplify the prime factorization. So I have 2, right in green. I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 7. Okay, so I have 3 sets of 2s, so that's the same thing as 2 to the 3rd power times 5 times 7, and that is my answer. Alright, try this one on your own. Pause this video and give it a shot. When you're ready, press play. Alright, for this one, I chose to start with 9 and 6. You could have chosen to start with a different first set of factors, but the cool thing is you will always end up with the same prime factorization. So if you didn't start at 9 and 6, hold on and see if you get the same final answer. So from 9 and 6, I'm going to do 3 times 3, and those are both prime. So I circle. Then I'm going to go to 6, and 2 times 3 is 6, and those are also both prime. Okay, so my final factorization is 2 times 3 times 3 times 3, and since there's 3 sets of 3's, I can write that as 3 to the 3rd power, and that's my final answer. Alright, method 2 is the step diagram, and this is a little bit more challenging to me, but you might like it better instead. So the directions is write out the original problem, which is the number, and you divide it by a prime number until the ending number is 1. So let's do a couple examples so you can see how that works. Alright, so we are going to use the step diagram to find the prime factorization of 252. So this looks a little different than simple division. So I'm going to write my original problem, which is 252. I'm going to put a line underneath it like that. And the first prime number that I'm going to do that goes into 252 is 2. And that answer is 126. And you write it below, and you draw your line again. Then you ask yourself what number goes in again to 126. That's a prime number. I'm going to do 2 again. Okay, then I draw my line, and 2 goes in 63 times. And then I'm going to ask myself what number goes in to 63. That's prime. I'm going to say 3. I can't do 2 because 63 is not an odd number. And 3 goes in 21 times. Draw my line. Then I think of another factor that's prime. I'm going to do 3 again, which is 7. And then lastly, 7 goes into 7 one time. So I can stop when 1 is at the bottom. These numbers over here, if I can get a new color, these numbers over here are my prime factorization. So I have 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 7. So I can group those together. Say 2 squared. I can group the 3's together and say 3 squared, and then 7 is still times 7. So that is how you write the prime factorization of 252 with a step diagram. You can also have different variations of numbers over here, but your answer at the end will always be the same prime factorization. Alright, so we're going to use a step diagram again to find the prime factorization of 495. So I'm going to write my original problem, and I know that 3 goes into 495, and 3 goes into 495 165 times. Okay? And then I ask myself what number goes in again. 3 goes in again, and it goes in 55 times. Then I ask myself what number goes into 55, and that's an easy one. That is 5. Then I'm left with 11. And 11 is a prime number. 11 divided by 11 is 1, and I am finished. So I go over here, I look for my numbers outside my bars, and I have 3 times 3 times 5 times 11. And your answer then, I combine these, is 3 squared times 5 times 11. Once again, the order in which you do this can be different, but your final answer will always be the same. So go ahead and try this one on your own, 210. Try this on your own. Pause the video and come back when you are ready. Alright, I chose to do 2 first because 2 is an even number and 210 is an even number, and 2 is also prime. So if I take 210 divided by 2, I'm left with, give me a color, I'm left with 105. Okay, draw my line. And then 105, I'm going to pick 5 as my prime number because I see that this ends in 5 or a 0. And that leaves me with 21. Draw my line. And then I know another prime number that goes into 21 is 7. And that goes in 3 times. Draw my line. Then I know 3 is a prime number. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I know I am finished. I look at this side, and I'm left with 2 times 3 times 5 times 7. Now notice how I didn't write 2, 5, 7, 3. Okay, I wrote them in ascending order. Ascending means from least to greatest. Okay? So your final answer is 2 times 3 times 5 times 7. There's no exponents in here because there's no double prime numbers. Alright. So now we're going to look at the tree diagrams and just simply find the prime factorization. So what you're going to do is you're going to circle all your prime numbers. Okay, so I'm left with 5 times 5 times 3 times 3. And I know I have 2 5s, so it's 5 squared, and I have 2 3s, so it's 3 squared. And that's my final answer. Make sure you're getting these tree diagrams down on your paper. If you need to pause this video and have time to write, please do. Alright, the prime factorization of 504. I circle 3, 2, 2, 2, and 7, and 3. So those are all my prime numbers. So then I need to write those out, and then I need to simplify them. So I'm left with 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 7. Okay, and I have 3 sets of 2's, so I can write that as 2 to the 3rd power. I have 2 sets of 3's, so I can write that as 3 to the 2nd power. And 7 is just by itself, so it's just times 7. So that is your final answer. Alright, your homework is 2.6 practice A. So on numbers 1 through 4, I want you to find the factors using the rainbow and then tell me whether it's prime or composite. Number 5 through 8, I really want to make sure you show your work. Show how you are getting to your answer. 9 through 16, I want you to make factor trees, and there's not room to do it on the front, so do it on the back of your paper or on loose leaf. And on 17 through 24, I want you to do step diagrams, either on the back of your paper or on loose leaf. This is due on Friday, and I will see you tomorrow.